Hi, Grace Commons. Here we are again in our Commons conversation for this Sunday. So glad that you are here with us today. And I am with Ned and Stephanie Steffens, who have been a part of this church for a long time. In fact, Stephanie was baptized here as an infant and is the daughter of Don and Judy Kellum. And Ned is a missionary, and they met and now are both missionaries in Spain. And why don't we just start there? Why don't you just share a little bit about your call to ministry and ministry work in Spain? What do you do?
We actually do two somewhat different things. We overlap some. My main focus is teaching at an international Christian school. Mm-hmm. I teach 4th and 5th grade.
Awesome.
I've taught there, and I think I'll be entering my 18th year.
Okay.
So
wow.
Enjoying that a lot.
Yeah. And
I first went to Spain 31 years ago under the title, it's an old term, church planner.
Yep.
But basically my desire is to come alongside people the way someone came alongside me when I was 18 years old and asked me if I had ever looked at the Bible, who Jesus Christ is, and the fact that God wants a personal relationship with me through him.
Yeah.
So that's my greatest interest, is to help people do that, and then as they respond, gather them together to form churches.
Yeah. That's almost like what youth pastors do and other people. It's what I do, actually. So thank you for that work. Something people may not know is sometimes missionaries have to go home for rest or because their agency requires it of them, and that's why you've been here for the last several months. And something that many of the people who are watching, but some will not know, is while you were here, you had a serious battle with the coronavirus.
Yes.
Yeah.
About every 5 years, we come back to the States for about 6 months for various reasons.
Yeah.
And we came back anticipating a normal home assignment, and I did come down with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to be admitted to Boulder Community Hospital. And I personally, both of us would really like to thank the congregation for your prayers and your support in so many ways. I literally, medically speaking, should not be sitting here alive today. I thank God for his direct intervention. I'm thankful for an amazing medical staff at the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very thankful for Stephanie. She really walked through this with me.
Right.
And still continues to do so.
Yeah, so there's a happy ending there, right? I mean, I think we're going to try to show some footage of the triumphal walk through the hospital.
Or roll, yeah.
Or roll, or whatever, right? Exactly what that was. But also it was really scary. I mean, it was as scary as it gets, really. And you have your own story about that. But I want to start with you. What was that like for you? And in the middle of that, maybe you could just talk about whatever's the most true thing about your spiritual life during that time.
During that time?
Yeah.
It was unexpected, definitely.
Right. Yeah.
Scary, but there was a peace most of the time.
Yeah.
I think I didn't know. There was a part of the time when I didn't know the direction it was going to go, whether or not he would survive. And I think for me, I never did figure out. I don't know how people do this. I never did figure out how to walk. There's a balance or a fine line between having hope that I'll get to see him again and be with him.
Right.
Yet,
even just see him again.
Even
right.
see him, exactly.
Yeah, right.
But also be preparing my heart that I may not. So I never figured that out.
Yeah.
But I guess probably the biggest spiritual truth for me was literally resting in God's sovereignty. In a way, it took away pressure from me. I didn't have to make those decisions. I knew what I wanted.
Like this sense that God has
Yeah.
it in his hands.
Yeah.
You've got your own script. Might not be the one he has.
But I was going to follow his lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that sense, I was grateful.
Yeah.
Scary. It was
Right.
scary, but I was grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, and that certainly came through in the things you wrote and the things that we were
Good.
aware of during the time, I
Good.
think.
Good.
Just that sense of I have a deep, abiding trust, and this is awful.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
holding both those things together is its own unique gift of faith. You were the patient, in and out. I think a little bit of consciousness probably for some of that. What was it like for you?
It was a life-changing experience.
You've lost a little weight.
Yeah, I lost 30 pounds.
Let's
I
not
put a-
recommend that as the method,
Yeah.
but
I put a few back on.
Yeah, he has gained a little bit. That's good.
It was a while after I'd woken up from ICU that I started realizing how serious it had been, and how serious the recuperation will be. Just learning several things from zero.
He was, man, I have to say, he was sedated the whole time he was in ICU.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
he
I
was
had
aware. And
no
I was actually
recollection.
thankful for that.
I think I'd forgotten
I
that.
have no remembrance of ICU being
Yeah.
sedated or on the ventilator. I have no
Okay.
remembrance whatsoever.
Yeah.
I do see it by faith that, again, as strong as Stephanie believes in the sovereignty of God, I believe it.
Yeah.
This was what God had for us. God gave me some amazing opportunities to share the gospel. Stephanie and our kids prepared some things that had Bible verses, letters, personal letters, and photos of them.
Yeah.
And I insisted that they be on the hospital walls in my room, in my different rooms that I was in.
Yeah.
And that opened up some great doors. And if some spiritual progress in the life of even just one person, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Praise the
Amen.
Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, we're in this series in James throughout the summer, and, this is at the heartbeat of James. Like he wants what is true of us. Like the fact that we have received the gift of salvation by Christ, right? We have received this grace. He's assuming that we're swimming in it, right? That's sort of the faith side.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he also wants it to be demonstrated. Like he wants people to see it. And he wants us to have the kind of faith that will live it out in some way. And thank you, honestly. Like, I know people are going to go through these kinds of trials and tribulations and these questions, and sometimes it's going to reveal all kinds of things that they didn't even know about their own faith. And sometimes troubling things, and sometimes really encouraging things. Like, Lord, thank you. I didn't know that this was the quality of my faith until this moment. Just as a final thing, if you're going to try to summarize what you've learned about the quality of your own faith by going through this trial, how would you? I know it's hard because you want to be humble. Let's just assume that honesty is humble. And what have you learned about the quality of your own faith by going through this?
You go.
I think I'm thankful that I was able to rest in God's sovereignty during that time.
Yeah.
If the end had been different, I would like to think I still would have rested in God's sovereignty.
Right.
But I'm glad that we weren't at that point yet.
Right. And there's like real trust. Like, look, Lord, actually,
Yeah.
I do trust you.
I
love that.
It was ingrained enough, I believe, just over the years,
Yeah.
by the grace of God.
Yeah.
But,
What about you?
I think the whole area of who's in control. I historically have been a person to want to have control, and just realizing life is by faith. And
Yes.
who would I have ever guessed this in January? I never would have.
Yeah.
But God's faithful. He's in control, and the number of days of my life are in His hands, not mine.
Yeah.
And so you need to base life on faith
Yeah.
to say, God, you're the one You're the one that's got my days numbered, and you have the plans for my life.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing some of this story. I don't always know when you're coming, so I'm always delighted when I see you kind of sitting roughly over there in the sanctuary. And I'm also really glad, it feels even like a grace to me that you are here with family, with this in this moment when this happened. So,
It has been.
yeah.
We're grateful.
Well, friends, thanks for sitting in. Let me remind you in this same way that God's sovereignty is real, and he invites us to rest and trust in it, whatever our personal circumstances are. Until I see you again, God bless.